Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is John Viglotti. On behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you joined us today. We will be highlighting select companies from the 2024 OTCQX Best 50 list. We'll start today with a live presentation from Aya Gold and Silver. Please note you can submit questions for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for one-on-one meetings through the Schedule Meetings tab found on the conference platform. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Alex Ball. He's the Vice President of Corporate Development and Investor Relations of the OTCQX Best 50 company, Aya Gold and Silver, which trades on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol AYASF and on the TSX under the symbol AYA. Welcome back, Alex.
Yeah, thank you, John and team, and everybody listening in today. We really appreciate your support and your time, and we think that the timing is excellent in with everything going on in the silver market and certainly the mining space, which seems to be melting up at the moment. We are very fortunate. We took over the company about 3.5 years ago. It was a company in disarray, and it was filled with beautiful assets in the country of Morocco, which is a incredible country to be mining in. When you think about mining, you think about the commodity, you think about the management team, execution, you think about jurisdiction, and we tick all the boxes. And we have scale with the district. We're proving out a district play with several assets within the portfolio. So again, we're hitting new highs every day, but the reality is we're a play on real estate in Morocco and a pure play silver play on the commodity. So I think our upside is much more beyond this point. I think we have the ability to really go 2 to 3x from where we are today. So with that, I'll go into the forward-looking statements and right into who we are and start with the board and the management team. So the management team was the same management team as Semifo. Our CEO was the founder of Semifo, which was ultimately a $3.5 billion company prior to being sold for almost $2 billion to Endeavor Mining a couple of years ago. We went and during his time at Semifo, we found he was looking at these exact assets that we have today within Aya Gold and Silver. It wasn't the right time, and fast forward to today, he was brought in by his Semifo shareholders to take over this company, and he brought the band back together, including myself and some really good people. Most importantly, one of which is Mustafa Louafi, who you can see at the top of the page. Mustafa was the number 2 at OCP, the largest phosphate producer in Morocco. Mustafa is a key man for us. He's very involved in everything we do in Morocco. We're acquiring land, we're advancing procurement, you name it. He's critical to our success. Our success, our share price success, is because we get things done, and he's a large part due because of him. On the next slide, our board is equally very, very impressive. It's a very deep board. It's a very eclectic board. They are billionaires, and they have money in kind in the stock. They've been buying all the way up. They continue to buy. In fact, when we go into market, often our deals are well oversubscribed, but they want to be part of those deals. We're trying to broaden the shareholder base, but collectively, the board and management control about almost 50% of the float. So it's a very, very tight float, and we have lots of skin in the game. Now, our history is very unique. We took over the company. I won't bore you with the stuff before 2020. Basically, it was a shell. The previous management team put some stuff together. We took over at the start of COVID. It was being delisted. The auditors were quitting, and we were brought in by the existing shareholders to change it. We were very lucky because silver went from 12 to 24, and now we're seeing a spike from 24 to $30. But certainly, there was a lot of execution between where we are today and where we were there. We are actually institutionalizing the company and advancing all the projects that were never advanced. So we're going to be an 8 million ounce producer. We grew production about 4x. We come online at 8 million ounces this year in Q4, and we'll be producing 8 million ounces for the next 11 years. Pure silver, no byproduct credit. It's almost like owning an ETF. But beyond that, we have about 3 other assets on the portfolio and are adding every day that are even bigger. So again, it's a free option on growth and on ounces. This chart is especially very interesting because it speaks to the purity of what we are. We are pure play silver. A lot of silver producers pretend to be silver producers. They're not silver producers. They produce gold, they produce cobalt, they produce lead, zinc. They're not that. So we're a pure play on silver, which is exactly what you want right now. Silver has huge upside when you think about gold. I think Goldman just came out with $2,700 gold targets for this year. Well, when you think about silver, silver has has some catching up to do. But if you believe in $2,700 silver, you should believe in $50 silver. So $2,700 gold equates to a much higher silver price down the road. But again, you don't get these with our comparables. We are pure play silver, unlike anybody else. When you think about Morocco, we used to spend a lot of time on this slide speaking about why it was what it was and why it was interesting. Now we don't even spend 30 seconds on it because Morocco is, in fact, one of the best jurisdictions on the planet to operate in. It's very mining friendly. You see what's going on in Latin America. You see what's going on in Africa. You see what's going on in Russia. It's very hard to mine. Even in North America, it's very hard to permit mines. You can't get things done. It takes months, weeks here to get stuff done. And all our mines currently that are in development have mining permits anyway. So there's no wait at all. But the point is, we can get stuff permitted at a mine permit very, very quickly. It takes almost 10 years in North America. It doesn't happen like that where we are. They want things done. And again, the mining policy also reflects this positive disposition towards mining. And I think it's on the next slide where we speak to a royalty rate of 3%, 25% tax rate, renewable sort of mining permits that roll over very easily. So again, very positive for investors to get involved. Very easy for us to operate in. Now we speak the language. You got to speak French. You got to speak Arabic. You got to speak Berber. But that's a core competency for us. The other thing I'd say is that the labor pool is very deep in Morocco, so we're not fighting any labor shortages and it costs 1/3 the cost to do anything there, whether it's salaries, building a mine. It's very inexpensive. Again, core competencies that are not replicated anywhere else in the world. Now, this is our portfolio, and this is why it's very interesting for investors. I already spoke about our flagship mines, Zug Gander. We're taking from 2 million ounces per year to about 8 million ounces per year. We're going to be completing that this year. So we're going to be at a $100 million cash flow rate for the next 10 years on that. We call that our ATM. That's going to finance the rest of our portfolio. So we don't need to go to market. So basically, when you think about Badine, we made a major announcement this week, almost 4.1 million ounces of gold equivalent or 350 million ounces of silver equivalent there in just about 18 months. Again, we're growing our portfolio, our ounces on a per share basis, and you're not paying for it. So again, a very deep portfolio. I won't go into the other assets because we're short on time, but the growth is for free, and you're going to see us go from 10 million ounces. We already hit 100 million ounces a couple of years ago. Yesterday we announced 350 on top of the 100. So we're already at like almost 500 million ounces of silver equivalent within our portfolio. We aim to double that over the next 18 months. The cap structure is also very compelling. We have about 130 million shares outstanding. We have very good liquidity. We traded about anywhere between $8 and $15 million a day. So lots of liquidity. Great insider ownership. So it's adding credibility to what we're doing. We have a project finance in place for about $100 million to build out our growth platform at Zug Gander. That's cheap, low cost debt with the European Development Bank. That's SOFR plus 5%. Very inexpensive, and actually it's linked to KPIs that are related to ESG factors. Again, very unique and unlike any other company in the world in our space. Now, again, this slide needs to be updated, but we announced 350 million ounces a couple of days ago, on top of the 100 million ounces that you see right there. So we're almost at 500 million ounces of silver. And the reality is you want to own a company that is growing ounces on a per share basis Well, we're delivering that. Like I said, we're going to double that again next year. So again, it's a very rare find. It's a function of our execution, but a district or a belt that's never been explored. So huge upside that you're not paying for. Some of our results are some of the best in the world. At Zug Gander, we have some of the best intercepts on the planet, and there's no byproduct credit. We're getting almost 4 kilos over 20 meters. These are consistent grades we're getting throughout the ore body. Again, very unusual. I'll just breeze over this. We basically had an incredible year. Historically we were very conservative as a management team. We basically guide and we're going to keep doing that moving forward. Again, just another snapshot of our execution, our 2 million ounce run rate per year. That's going to jump, 4x to about 8 million ounces this year. Our reserve table, which needs to be updated. Obviously, this is a function of Zug Gander. We have about 70 million ounces there. All in resources, about 100 million ounces, and we look to grow that as well. This is the feasibility that I spoke to on Zug Gander. Again, we are finishing the build. It'll be completed this year by Q4, full commissioning, first silver pour. It's happening. So again, we're going from 2 million ounces, 4x to 8 million ounces at the end of this year. So again, incredible margins. You can see that we're at all in $9.50. Easy to see when you have silver. Call it $10 all in cash costs and $30 silver. We're making $20. The next slide, whoops, I just lost the slide here. Apologies. The next slide just shows you an aerial view of Zug Gander, 30% of which will be open pit. Again, you can see this is beautiful. It's like, but again, it's a beautiful project. It's 2,000 meters above sea level. It'll produce 2,700 tons per day, which is about 8 million ounces. Some pictures of Zug Gander. You can see beautiful. We have some of our storage basins, lots of water, our power lines, they're all there. Again, we're looking at first silver pour over the next couple of months and full commissioning into Q4. We talk about ESG. It's a big focus for us. I won't spend too much time on it, but again, we're going to take our 61% of our water is recycled. Our our low carbon strategy is we're going to be going down to basically zero carbon footprint. You're looking at a 28-year renewable PPA. So again, we adhere to the highest KPIs that are related to ESG, and our governance is no different when you think about the board. This is very interesting, this chart, because it speaks to our emissions going to zero. Again, you don't see this anywhere else on the planet. How is this possible? You're a mining company and you're going down to zero scope 2 emissions. Again, this is a slide on our governance. We're a third governed by women. We have obviously a large part of independence. We put our money where our mouth is. It's an excellent board. Now, the real reason people own the company is because of the exploration. You're getting growth for free. And it's nice that, we took the boxes for jurisdiction, excellent. Management team, execution, excellent. ESG, excellent. Exploration, double check mark. It is just, there's tons of growth that you're getting for free here. So we already spoke about Zug Gander, our flagship project to the south. The reality is that it's an ATM machine that we're going to grow. We're consolidating our land packages there. All that belt that you see from Agadir all the way to the east is about 1,500 kilometers long. It's about 5 times the size of the Greenstone Belt, the Carlin Trend, you name it. Like, this is huge stuff, and we are a major player, if not the only player outside of the king that controls Managem that is making moves here. So again, you want a moat. We have that. We haven't seen other players come in yet. That will certainly change with this week's announcement with Badine's resource statement. But again, we have a runway for the next 2 to 3 years where we're being untouched. And the reality is we're growing our land package as fast as we can and growing our ounces as fast as we can. This is a snapshot of Zug Gander. You can see that the objective here is to grow. We might have skipped a slide here, but anyway, the objective here is to grow to the the south and to grow in parallel. And if you look at that structure, Zug Gander, our main mines here, we own all the land around the granite. The pink itself is a granite. And what we see is that there's footwalls near the granite and high grades and lots of silver around that area, those areas. So we're busy acquiring as much land around the pink. So Zug Gander's here. We're extending to the east and to the west, and we're finding all kinds of sniffs around it. It takes time. We've only been at this for 3 years, and we recently bought this land to the south called TSX. It was a 3% copper play that basically has traces of silver. So we're quite excited about that. Now the next slide is quite important. It's we made an announcement this year or this week that is pretty sensational. We announced a new resource or an updated resource at Badine. Badine is just about 500 clicks away from Zug Gander down the belt. It's a polymetallic VMS play, and we crushed the result this week, and we went live on 352 million in all classifications silver equivalent ounces. Why that's important is because Zug Gander, for context, is 100 million ounces. So we're already 3 times bigger than that. And what was really interesting is we were drilling the wrong part of it, and we already got 350 million ounces. The reality is there's many structures around Badine. So we're very busy consolidating the land around this, adding permits that you can't necessarily see on this page, but there's a ton of blue sky potential here as we find parallel structures to the east and west, to the north, and certainly to the south, where we see traces or the potential of a copper porphyry. Again, like I said, our focus is silver, and we report on a silver equivalent basis, but there is huge potential for copper here as well. So again, we delivered almost 352 million ounces at 450 grams silver equivalent. That's 4.1 million ounces of gold at 5 grams gold equivalent. So quite exciting. This is a snapshot of what we have. You can see that some of the grades are astonishing. You're looking at gold grades between 4 and 6 grams, and you're looking at silver grades anywhere 400 to 4 kilos. It's crazy. It's just crazy. The grades are astonishing. So what's really interesting here is that the objective here is to really drill a lot of it. Our drilling program will consist of 120,000 meters. We're going to do infill. We're going to do some step outs. Call it 50-50 round numbers. But the reality is we want to grow this and show extensions. It's open at depth. It's open along strike. And so that's really interesting for us. So the objective for us over the next 12 months is to pound the market with more results, extensions, increase the spacing between, and certainly show how big this can be. I see a path to 120,000 meters this year, maybe replicate that the following year to get this to well over 1 billion ounces over the next 18 to 24 months. That's incredible by any standard. We're trying to figure out what it is. It's early days. Is it a Penasquito lookalike? The reality is we own a district. And so, it's almost like owning the Golden Triangle, where you have about 50 mining companies there operating. So again, it's too early to tell. We haven't, the objective here is just to grow the ounces and just really ring fence what it could be. It's too early to really figure out what the CapEx could be. It's too early to figure out. We've done the metallurgy work. That works just fine. The recoveries are incredible. But again, it's a Hollywood problem to have, to really just be able to have a platform to drill for the next 2 years and maybe triple, quadruple your ounces from 350 base currently. This is some more ammunition on what it looks like. You see some sections, again, just some grades as well. 1 kilo over 20 meters, incredible. Now, because we're so busy in this stuff, sometimes we neglect some of the other things in our portfolio. This is an interesting asset within the portfolio. It's called ASMM, and it's a rock school lookalike. We're going to throw some money at it, not very much, but it deserves some love, and so we're going to throw a little bit of money at it and drill it. But it looks like a rock school. So when you think about rock school, I forget who I'm forgetting who bought it, but it was ultimately purchased, and it was a 10-gram multi-million ounce project, and so this is a similar project. You're looking at high single digits, 10-gram million ounce deposit to start, and we go from there. So over the next, just to summarize and review, we're going to pound the market with a lot of results from Badine, Zug Gander. Obviously, we're coming online with Zug Gander. We're growing production from 2 million ounces to 8 million ounces. That'll be fully commissioned and full ramp up by Q4 of this year. Obviously, the other objective is to grow the ounces as fast as we can and grow the real estate as fast as we can at Zug Gander and certainly at Badine, which is our next leg of growth. And as means, you might get some neat little news releases out of that as we sort of drill that out. But again, Badine and Zug Gander, and certainly delivering on those is a priority for us over the next 12 months. So with that, I'll open up to questions and hopefully I can answer anything that's out there. Thanks. So I'm looking at some questions here. Jeff, I see you had a question about infrastructure at Zug Gander. Well, the build-out's going great. It's on time and on budget. Lots of water, power lines. The thing about Morocco, and I forgot to mention, there is a ton of infrastructure. It's almost like South Korea. They overbuilt on infrastructure, and you have 5G networks, power lines throughout. Like I said, a deep labor pool. But when it comes to Zug Gander, we're on time, on budget, and everything seems to be going well. Kurt, I'm just reading your question. Secondary market investor because these. Listen, Kurt, I just trying to understand your question. A big focus for us is retail, the retail network. The OTCQX is very good for us. It reaches a certain amount of investors that we don't otherwise reach. We've been asked over and over again about a secondary listing on the NYSE. It's a potential that we can do. We're 1.5 to 1.7 billion market cap. It makes sense at a point in time, but the reality is we trade on the big board in Canada, and a third of our investors are retail. So we spend a lot of time in the States trying to nurture those relationships. But what's happening is the ETF buy-in, the generalist buy-in, the silver interest, the macro interest, the thematics, they're all starting to buy in and really, understand what we have. Everybody wants exposure to silver, and certainly I think silver is an incredible place to be. So we spend a lot of time with our partners at OTCQX and in the States. So and retail is a big part of that. Andrew, who are your institutional investors? And so we are covered by all the major banks. We spend a lot of time nurturing those relationships. We were active in the market. We've raised, including, over almost 300 to 400 million bucks of equity over the last sort of 3 years to take this to this point. We've created about almost 2 billion of value, and we've raised about 300 million of equity, which is a phenomenal return for everybody. And I would suggest to you that we have a lot more upside from here. I think we have like I said, 3 to 4x easy on Badine. And, the reality is that our institute coverage is growing leaps and bounds. We have Sprott that are disclosed. We have Van Eck. We have, BlackRock ETF, Amplified. A lot of ETFs. I mean, 20% of the holdings are by ETFs. I'm finding that all the major funds that in the world are really taking a notice to us. Have started buying, are growing their positions. And what's really interesting is the thematic groups, or the groups within the groups, are now leveraging the specialists who like silver, and they're starting to buy in as well. I think there's huge upside from the generalist community, and certainly the non-specialist precious investors who are now getting involved. If you go to New York or you go to other places like London, you're getting a lot of interest in silver. gold for sure, but silver is very unique, and so it's very hard to articulate that trade. So you're seeing ETFs. Guys can mimic the ETF, but I would tell you that AYA is like an ETF on steroids. We are growing ounces on a per share basis for free, and so an investor, you went from 1 ounce per share to 3.5 ounces per share, and that's going to grow to 5, 6, 7, 8 ounce. ETF's not doing that at all. They're going out and buying ounces. We don't have to buy ounces. They're in the ground. We're finding them. So it's a huge advantage for us. Just a question on emissions. To all our power, we're getting our emissions to zero because we have a 20-year PPA that's fully renewable with the government. The utility company in Morocco is 30% of the grid is renewable, and we can source all our power from renewable sources. The trucks aren't built yet for what we need to do, so I said zero scope 2 emissions will be close to zero, but we're going to need our fleet to convert to being fully electric. I think we're a year or two away from that, so that'll be the perfect storm. But we recycle our water, we do all that stuff. But it's a fabulous company that is adhering to the highest ESG factors, and the scope 2 emissions to zero. That's incredible. Okay. Listen. The NYC, a question on the NYC. It's an option. We're not there yet. It's interesting to us. I think we'll see a volume surge again. We're gonna qualify for the TSX composite in the next month or so. You're going to see 5 million shares of demand on that alone. So there's a big tailwind. And so, the NYSEs are going to happen this year? Probably not. Next year, maybe. Lots of opportunities for us. We just have to be pragmatic about it. I know the volumes will surge because of it. Some of our peers are already there. We have incredible volume as we speak. I mean, we're trading, like I said, anywhere between $5 and $15 million a day. And so I think the NYC will actually double and triple that. So listen, it's a function of cost benefit analysis. Our volumes are already excellent right now, so for us, it becomes really pure cost of doing business in the States, and the OTCQX does a great job for us for the time being. This conference is designed for both institutions and secondary investors. So George is asking a question about our operating costs and what cost of silver. We're one of the lowest cost producers of silver on the planet. So we produce, call it all in at $10 an ounce, and silver today is anywhere between $28 and $30. So that's the margin. So if you think about 8 million ounces per year, and you're doing $20 a margin, that's incredible. And that's for 11 years, and hopefully that mine life grows, which it will. And obviously, I'm a big believer in silver going to $40, $50. So the leverage is massive. So we're making a ton of money. So those are the questions right now. I'll go to the top again. I think I've answered most of my questions. If there's anything else, I'm here to answer any questions. So listen, I'll stop there. If there's anything else you guys need, I'm around. Really excited to be here with AYA. I think it's a beautiful company that offers a ton of upside for everybody. Come join us. I mean, we're big shareholders. We haven't sold a share, and I think the upside is real. And I think if you want leverage to silver, there's not a better company to own. And I think we're going to prove again that we're going to be one of the best performing companies over the next 2 years. So that's why you're getting involved. So with that, thanks for everybody.